Research shows the necessity of vitamin D for health and disease prevention. Although vitamin D keeps the body running well, the majority of people have deficiency in the sunshine vitamin. Vitamin D levels drop because of getting scared sunless by misinformation that the sun results in melanoma, a myth that survives by propaganda without facts. Repeated so often that people believe it. Vitamin D affects biological function by influencing around 3,000 genes via vitamin D receptors. In fact, vitamin D receptors found throughout your body, as humans evolved in sun. Research reveals another benefit of sun exposure other than the production of vitamin D, the production of nitric oxide lowering your blood pressure. The heart health benefits from this outweigh the risk of developing skin cancer. Vitamin D levels vary with time of day, season, and geographic location, and genetics. If you have dark skin, you need 10 times more sun exposure to obtain an odd vitamin D level as a cracker. Care taken by redheads, as they seem genetically predisposed to the development of melanoma, whether they spend time in the sun or not. Tens of thousands of health studies show the importance of vitamin D. Sunshine's benefits include pain-killing analgesic properties, increased subcutaneous fat metabolism, regulation of human lifespan. Solar cycles appear to be able to directly affect the human genome, thereby influencing lifespan. Daytime sun exposure improves evening alertness, conversion to metabolic energy, converting energy directly from the sun, similar to plants. Correcting a vitamin D deficiency cuts the risk of dying in half, an analysis of over 10,000 shows. 3,600 medical papers with vitamin D in the title or abstract were published in 2012, bringing the total to 33,800. Research to date shows vitamin D has benefits to your physical and mental health, with these examples but a start: pregnancy outcomes, reduced risk of cesarean section and preeclampsia, autism, childhood language impairment, cardiovascular disease, type 1 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes, bacterial and viral infections, falls and bone fractures, 16 different types of cancer, stroke. Sun exposure protects heart health. UVB exposure improves mood and energy level, helping to regulate melatonin and increase nitric oxide production, thus benefiting the cardiovascular system. Sun exposure improves health and prolongs life, cause benefits of reduced blood pressure, cutting heart attacks and strokes, outweighs the risk of getting skin cancer. The body's production of nitric oxide gets done separate from production of vitamin D. Human skin contains stores of nitrite number 2, and nitrate number 3. While nitrate is biologically inert, sunlight reduces it to active nitrite and nitric oxide. Circulatory nitrate falls and nitrite rises during UV and heat exposure, but not during exposure to heat alone. The benefits to heart health of sunlight outweigh the risk of skin cancer. Research provides a mechanism accounting for it, and explains why dietary vitamin D supplements will not compensate for a lack of sunlight, confirming that sunlight reduces death rates from each cause. Consider this advice on sun exposure. Skin cancer. Before discussing melanoma, understand 3 most common types of skin cancer, named for the type of cells affected. Basal cell carcinoma (BCC) in the basal cell layer of the skin, mostly on the face. The most common form of skin cancer and cancer in humans. Least likely to spread. Squamous cell carcinoma (SCC) in the squamous cells, mostly on the face, neck, ears, lips, and backs of hands. Grows and spread more than BCC. Melanoma, in the melanocytes, the cells that produce melanin pigment, causing tan. Melanin protects deeper layers of skin from extra radiation. Melanoma spreads more than other skin cancers towards the rest of the body, causing more death than other types of skin cancer. Don't fall for melanoma myths. Find relief learning melanoma does not get caused by sun, unlike BCC and SCC skin cancers. Though reported cases of melanoma in USA has increased for 30 years, a study in Britain suggests this increase results from non-cancerous lesions misclassified stage 1 melanoma. People get diagnosed with melanoma when they have a minimal, non-cancerous lesion. These diagnoses significantly skew cancer statistics. The sun seems a scapegoat in the phenomenon of increased melanoma. Misdiagnosis does more than skewing statistics. T causes unnecessary melanoma surgery. 90% of melanoma excisions end up not being melanoma L. If the sun doesn't cause melanoma, then what does? The role of the sun in melanoma. As with other serious disease, multiple interacting factors cause the immune system to go awry, like nutrition, environmental toxins, stress, inadequate sleep, and more. For melanoma, the sun does have a role. Melanoma signify too little. Study shows melanoma mortality decreases after UV exposure. Melanoma lesions do not predominate sun-exposed skin. For this reason, sunscreen proven ineffective in prevention. UVB sunlight exposure protects against melanoma. The vitamin D the body produces in response to UVB radiation protects. Outdoor workers have a decreased risk of melanoma compared with indoor workers, demonstrating that chronic sunlight exposure has a protective effect. Solid descriptive, quantitative, and mechanistic proof of ultraviolet rays cause the main skin cancers basal and squamous. They develop in pale, sun-exposed skin, related to degree of exposure and latitude. Few are with avoidance and protection, readily produced experimentally, and the overwhelmingly predominant tumor in xeroderma pigmentosum, where DNA repair impairment by ultraviolet light damage found. None found with melanoma. By avoiding the sun, our risk for vitamin D deficiency skyrockets, which increases odds of developing melanoma and other diseases. The risks associated with insufficient vitamin D outweigh those of basal cell or squamous cell carcinomas, which seem fairly benign in comparison. Vitamin D could prevent breast cancer by 90%. Theories linking vitamin D deficiency to cancer have gotten tested and confirmed in more than 200 epidemiological studies, and understanding its physiological basis stems from more than 2,500 laboratory studies. 90% of ordinary breast cancer relates to vitamin D deficiency. Breast cancer has gotten described as a vitamin D deficiency syndrome. Vitamin D interferes with breast cancer's ability to spread by affecting the structure of those cells where vitamin D not present. They fall apart and are forced to overmultiply in order to survive. Research has shows that raising vitamin D levels reduces the risk for 16 different types of cancer or more, including pancreatic, lung, ovarian, breast, prostate, and skin cancers. A study of menopausal women showed that maintaining vitamin D40 lowers cancer risk by 77%. 2 studies show how cancer begins. A cancer cell can get created when unusual mutations occur in a small area of its DNA that controls and regulates its genes, contrasted with mutations in the genes themselves. These mutations spur the cell to make telomerase. One function of telomerase prevents telomere shortening, that leads to cell death. Abundant telomerase so important to cancers it appears in 9 out of 10. In addition to cancer preventativeness, vitamin D acts as crucial for pregnant women and their babies, lowering the risk for preterm birth, low birth weight, and C-section. 80% of pregnant women have inadequate vitamin D levels. Low vitamin D in pregnancy increases your baby's risk for multiple sclerosis later in life. Sunshine so important to your overall health that science finds a connection between immune system strength at birth, called the birth month effect. If born in the spring, statistics show more vulnerability to developing autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis (MS) than if you were born in the fall. Why? It's related to a pregnant woman's vitamin D levels during her baby's gestation. April and May babies have been gestating during the colder, darker months, as opposed to November and December babies, who've been developing over the spring and summer. A study shows this, suggesting a mechanism related to thymic development. Suggesting sun exposure and vitamin D plays roles in the CNS demyelination responsible for MS. The sun lifts your mood. Google searches for mental health-related issues drop by 15 to 42% during the summer months, relating to a boost in vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency factors in cognitive impairment and dementia. Practicing safe sun. Safely exposing your bare skin to sun optimizes your vitamin D levels, and offers protection against melanoma. Avoid sunburn. Read about safe sunning guidelines and watch videos for instructions about how to safe and effectively. Vitamin D3 and oil-soluble steroid hormone. The term vitamin a misnomer. It forms when your skin gets exposure from UVB radiation of sun or a tanning bed. When UVB strikes the surface of skin, skin converts a cholesterol derivative into vitamin D3. It takes up to 48 hours for this D3 to absorb into the bloodstream to raise your vitamin D levels. Avoid washing the skin for 48 hours after sun exposure. Adults need 8,000 IUs per day to achieve a serum level of 40. Use of sunscreen turns into a melanoma magnet. The advice to slather on sunscreen increases melanoma risks instead of decreasing them, certainly not wanted. Never let yourself burn. If practicing safe sunning, seek the sun's health benefits with no risks. According to the 2012 Sunscreen Guide, 75% or more of sunscreens contain harmful ingredients, such as oxybenzone and retinol palmitate, especially in product having SPFs higher than 50. SPF only protects against UVBs, but the UVs increase risk for skin cancer and responsible for photoaging skin. The UVBs stimulate your vitamin D production, so don't block them out. An internal sunscreen astaxanthin, potent antioxidant found to offer protection against sun damage. Also used topically. Cover up with lightweight clothing to protect. Wear a hat. A growing body of research shows that vitamin D exists critical for health and disease prevention. Vitamin D affects your DNA through vitamin D receptors (VDRs), which bind to specific locations of the human genome. Scientists have identified nearly 3,000 genes influenced by vitamin D levels, and vitamin D receptors found throughout the body. No matter what disease or condition investigated, vitamin D plays a crucial role.